Sure, abuti ona hle.
Honorable Sauls. Thank you, Chair. DDG, can we agree that there's not been any decisive intervention on the concerns around the preference of foreign nationals over South African citizens in our institutions of higher learning? Would you agree?
Yes, there has not been any intervention. All we've done is studied the legislation.
What is the reason for not taking that issue seriously?
Chair, I wouldn't say we are not taking it seriously. We are very concerned. In fact, I was planning to have a workshop with universities and the Department of Labour, because this falls within the ambit of the Department of Labour legislation. The employment equities, what's Foreign Employment or Employment Services Act of 2014. So I felt that given the nature of responses we've received from a variety of universities, not just CUT, there's a need for a workshop so that there's an alignment on interpretation of that piece of legislation, because it is very clear either there is insufficient knowledge thereof or incorrect interpretation of what it means.
I think there's a mistake there in terms of the approach. We are sitting here with a situation where South African citizens are not getting employed and foreign nationals are being preferred over them. A workshop for all of you to get an understanding does not change that reality. My question is around intervention in decisively acting against this. It's there. It's a fact. And so what's disappointing for me is I listened to the presentations. The issue of foreign nationals has been mentioned twice. Once on the Gauteng side of things, just to say that there is foreign national lecturers, but they were there before, and going forward, South Africans will be prioritized. What that says is, it's an admission that South Africans was not prioritized. Then in the second occasion, no, not yourself, the presentation was made by your colleague Didi there. Then in the other presentation, at Moteo, there was the issue on foreign national was skipped because of time, but all the others was mentioned. But what was interesting is that there is no mitigation or turnaround strategy when it came to that issue on the presentation of Moteo. Do you see the unintentionalism in terms of your posture and your approach as the department on this very important issue?
So I cannot speak for, I think the DG indicated that the different components of the PSET system are governed by different pieces of legislation.
Who must I ask?
Please allow me, Chair, let me just say
It's just
this.
because of my time, because
Yes.
you're referring to the presentation
There are
that. So
different
who must I ask here? Who must I ask here? If it's not you, who must I ask?
I was just going to give you this response, that there are different pieces of legislation in governing the different components of the PSET sector. What is common is the legislation that falls under Department of Labour. On our side, when I turned to the legislation immediately after that meeting with the CUT, I confirmed, because you got 3 different responses in that meeting, Chair. I turn to legislation, and it is very, very clear that the Higher Education Act gives complete right of employment to the council and the vice-chancellor of a university. So we don't have powers. That's the first thing.
You see,
Second thing
you
is
know what
that
you're doing?
the second thing is that the multiple interpretations suggest
May
to
rather
me,
do that. Are you saying
yes.
because of the interpretations, what they are doing is right?
No, what they need, rather than, because the legislation is so clear about their powers, is to consult them and persuade them to do differently.
No,
Because
they're doing something illegal. And do you know why they continue to do it? Because you have that posture. That is illegal, what they are doing. There is no law in our country that encourages, when a South African citizen is qualified, that you give preference to a foreign national. There's no law that justifies that. Do you agree?
absolutely, Chair.
So your posture should not be to consult. Your posture should be to direct them to say you are doing something illegal.
Certainly, I don't deny that, but
Exactly.
we wanted to do even more.
No. Start there. You can do more. There can be nothing more than giving South Africans jobs that they deserve. When I looked at the presentation, if you look at Moteo, let me give you an example of what your posture to this issue is creating. Are you aware of the allegation that at Moteo, the principal has taken Sunday World to court, and on the 12th of June, paid the attorney 300,000 rand, whilst they don't have money to pay employees? She paid legal fees of 300,000 rand, it's alleged. But here's what makes it worse. Do you know that the attorney employed by the college is the sister of the acting CEO, who's a foreign national? The lawyer is a foreign national.
Honorable Member, if you allow me, it's Moteo is a TVET college under DDG Zungu.
Honorable Sauls, I'm not aware of those allegations. I think I'm hearing those for the first time. Obviously, we'll have to investigate them in relation to what we have raised.
Please, I put it to you that that is what we have received.
President.
DDG, what does your policy framework on internationalization say in section 3, subsection 3.6, subsection 3.63? What does it say? I'm asking you that because the usual defense is internationalization. Kindly share that with me.
Unfortunately, I don't have it here with me, Chair.
Let me read it for you.
Thank you.
It says, initiatives to attract and retain international talent in South African job market, including positions in higher institutions, must not be to the detriment of job opportunities for equally qualified and experienced South African citizens. That's clear. It's not ambiguous. It's your framework. The institutions are not aligned to that framework. What must you do?
Chair, we approved the internationalization policy framework. We published it in the Gazette. We secured all consultations.
No.
Okay.
You're telling me what you did with the policy I just read to you. It's your policy. I'm asking you, based on that, this empowers you to act. This is the framework. And we have shown you that institutions are not in the ambit of this framework.
I agree, but the challenge is the same policy, because I went and looked at it, does not give me an instrument on which to penalize policy. My preferred way, given the complete misalignment of multiple institutions with the internationalization policy or
I have to
the
stop you.
legislation.
I have to stop you. Do you know what you're saying? You're saying they're wrong. But there's no document that tells me what must I do when they're wrong. The document shows me a framework when they are wrong, but what to do with them when they're wrong, there's no document. I don't know what to do. When the law is silent, and you, by virtue of the fact that you can show that there's grounds, that they are outside of the framework, the law supports you to use your discretion to deal with what is clearly wrong. Let them be the ones that says you did something illegal. But you sitting there waiting for something to tell you, while South African citizens are suffering, like Professor Mpekwa. CUT has given preference to a foreign national over a qualified South African. And it's your posture that is in this way that is causing her still to be marginalized. The same foreign national that is now the dean at CUT, the same foreign national has employed an HOD in her faculty. That's a foreign national over and above a South African that has 10 more years of experience than that gentleman. You know why? It's your posture, your nonchalant attitude, while South African academics are suffering. Let me show you another example of what your posture, DDG, and the department, what your posture, your nonchalant attitude is doing to these people that are doing this wrong thing to South Africans, how they talk to them. I'm going to read you emails of CUTIS liquidators. They have went to voluntary liquidation, voluntary. The same people that agreed to the liquidation of the subsidiary was the management of the subsidiary and the management of the principal institution. That's a conflict of interest. So they close this one thing, people lose their jobs. 2 out of those employees is asking the liquidators for the UIF letters. This is how the liquidators respond. It's in Afrikaans. The gentleman's name is Martin Botha. Chair, there's some age restriction words here. I'm going to say it so that it's quoted. Martin Botha says to these 2 employees asking for their UIF documents to be corrected so that they can get money now that they have lost their jobs. This is what they are told. Die tweekies is en was deel van die CCMA klomp. Hulle kan gaan kak en klagtes gaan lê waar hulle wil. You know what that says? Interpretation? They can go shit. And they can go take their concerns wherever they want to. That's how South Africans are being spoken to. Almost done, Chair. Listen to what they continue to say, the same gentleman. When calling mommy to the rescue did not work, like you, I have time on my hands at the moment, not because I'm unemployed or being on a mission, but because I manage my time effectively. You were an employee of a company that was liquidated by its shareholders. If I recall, you are one of the lower ranking of employees and did not even make meaningful impact on the success of the business, but more likely contributed to the failure of the business. Listen to the arrogance. Lastly, and I conclude, please go ahead and do whatever will make you feel happy, and please include the office of the president, the deputy, as well as every minister in cabinet. Looking at your mailing list, people that has nothing to do with this liquidation, seems you include them only for one reason, and that is to try and score some points. Well, I don't think you will be employed by the CUT. Ever. But that is their prerogative. Maybe you are an attention seeker, I don't know. At the end, you are unemployed, and most likely will remain so because you have time to write emails instead of sending out your brilliant CV. Do you think you will get a good reference from CUT with your behavior? Lastly, I will still help you get the forms for the UIF amended, but stop being such a bloody nuisance. Marty, hey, is that what you called your landlord before you got evicted? She didn't have an income for 3 months. As a result, she got evicted. The liquidator is making fun of her eviction, and she has no job. A South African. DDG, your department and your posture is responsible for the struggle of South African academics. It's disappointing and it's disgusting. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe if you can just, for the record, give us the name of that liquidator.
I'm going to have to check, but the person, the liquidation company's name, I have to check the name, but the person representing the liquidating company and who's written this email is Martin Botha. And I shall submit the name of the liquidators. But this is Martin Botha.
Thank you very much. DPG, I did not want to interrupt there, but so we've got laws in this country. The law says if institutions under your department, like CUT, hires a non-South African, there's a process that they must follow. Must show that no one in the country had that skill and all of that. And you are saying the Act does not empower you to do anything. It's a problem because even the Higher Education Act does not supersede the Constitution of this country. And the laws that are made, I mean, the Foreign Nationals Act that you are telling us there, that you looked at, Employment Services Act, amongst many others, tells you that if this institution does this thing under your department, there's something you must do. It's illegal. It says it's illegal to hire Tebogo, who's not South African, over Sauls who's South African, if both of them qualify for that position. It says it's illegal. And you are saying to us, there's nothing the department can do. It's a big problem. It then tells us why these institutions can do as they please. Because you create a framework, and this framework says this. An institution goes and does something outside of the framework and quotes the same framework, and then you agree. It's a big problem, teaching. In fact, I'm going through something around that I'm reading. And I was hoping that by this time we'll do a joint committee meeting between ourselves, Department of Home Affairs that is responsible for creation of these scarce skills jobs, and Department of Labor that has a responsibility to arrest people, to open cases against these employers who are employing non-South Africans illegal. And the Department of Higher Education can say, TG, there's nothing we can do. When Department of Labor is right here next door, We have asked them, what do I do when a university of mine that the framework says they can employ up to 10% of the staff, they've employed 14%. What is it that I can do? They'll tell you, go and open a case there. Very simple. Because you are responsible citizen. So if you are saying, no, nice DDG, there's nothing I can do, you are giving us a worry. But more than a worry, it's the confidence that you are giving to this institution that worries us even more. Honorable Law.
Yo, Chairman.
Nothing. Sure, about the ownership.